What a time to be alive. The MrBeast drama is currently absolutely out of control. Everyone from big to small wants a piece of that succulent MrBeast drama pie. And Sunny V2 is doing absolute overtime, okay? He is currently trying to get every last click he possibly can and make that bag. His title alone is already the absolute epitome of clickbait. Why Chris will soon be a nightmare for MrBeast. And you know what's the best part? MrBeast saw this, or at least saw people talking about it, and he tweeted about it. Oh boy, it's getting wild.
Situation could become a complete disaster for MrBeast's brand. However, it may also provide some unique benefits. So let's begin by going over the drama before explaining exactly how this will impact the MrBeast channel. In mid-2022, fans began to notice that Chris Tyson was changing. In the early days, he represented the quintessential southern gun and truck loving dude. Yet beginning in March 2022, Chris began to display increasingly feminine traits, making tweets such as "I finally got my nails done at a nail tech." Additionally, Chris would highlight that his facial appearance had changed significantly since the start of the pandemic, which accompanied another post reading, "Okay, so in 4 different customs I had to prove I was myself because I quote look nothing like my passport pic, so much that I'm considering updating my passport. Do you see any resemblance?"
There is absolutely no resemblance there. That's actually amazing. Also, there's no one who can convince me that there's not something in the American water, okay? As a European, we get told as children, never drink the pool water, okay? It has chlorine in it. But what do Americans do? They just put that stuff in their normal drinking tap water. It's insane.
Prompting replies such as, "You went from man to boy." Chris responded by stating, "Nah, to be honest, I just really started taking my mental health seriously and eating better." Yet his Twitter photos kept insinuating that Chris was becoming more feminine, with this same kind of look showing up in his MrBeast appearances. For example, on the 6th of January 2023, Beast Reacts uploaded a video titled "I strapped a GoPro to a fish," in which Chris dressed in a way that prompted comments such as, "Chris has been adopting more and more traits that remind me of my grandmother." Okay, so some people just gonna ignore Chris's nails? Chris had to have lost a bet. The look is getting wild. The response to the video then prompted countless viral TikToks, such as this one with 700,000 likes, stating, "How did Chris go from this to this?" While others even made the claim that Karl had turned him gay. Now, this was pretty ridiculous as Karl isn't even that feminine, and Chris had come out as bisexual years before he and Karl had even met. The true catalyst for Chris Tyson's feminization instead seemed to have come from his marriage.
It's always the wife. You heard it here first at Sunny's channel, okay? Your wife is gonna make you into a woman. Oh, this is amazing.
January 2022, Chris would post a photo with his wife to his Instagram, yet after this, the family photo stopped altogether. Fans also noticed that he'd removed his wedding ring, with the ring's absence correlating perfectly with the very first post in which he'd painted his nails. Chris confirmed the split in a post from March 2023 reading, "For a little over a year now, me and Katie have been separated," with this also confirming that Chris's transformation began as soon as his marriage came to an end. Chris went from lighting campfires.
Maybe his transformation roots were the reason the marriage came to end, not the other way around.
And raising a family with his beautiful wife, to now trying to be a wife with his man buns and long nails. As the criticism continued to pile, Chris announced that he'd be taking a break from social media. And while there was a possibility that Chris would make efforts to return to his former self, he'd rather do the opposite and double down on his feminine image, showing up to the Kids' Choice Awards looking like this, before making the announcement that he'd been doing HRT for approximately 2 months, which according to a quick Google search is the medical process for changing gender. Chris would expand on this by stating, "Informed consent HRT saved my and many others' lives. The hurdles GNC people have to jump through to get life-saving gender
The hell is GNC?
Affirming healthcare in a first world country is wild to me. Just let people make informed decisions about their own bodies," which received a positive response from both Karl and MrBeast, who wrote, "Got you, I did one more heart than Karl because I'm a better friend." While his co-workers expressed positivity, others weren't so welcoming. There goes a father figure the kid won't ever be able to look up to. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Weak men. bad times. Chris responded to this comment by stating, "This is just more dog whistling that somehow trans and GNC folks aren't safe around kids. Tucker begs for me to come back when I leave for like 2 days to film. He is so loved and happy. Kids aren't born with hate, it's taught by people like you, and my child will only know love."
How can he only know love if you literally abandon him for multiple days at a time? That seems kind of a little bit wrong.
"I know I'm going to be a great parent, and so is every other person who puts the love of their child before everything. I made this decision because I wanted to show up as my best and happiest self for him. In a way, this was for Tucker."
Whoa, 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 whoa. This is a complete 100% lie. You know what they did 40 years ago? People would not get divorced because they had a kid, okay? The parents would actually just put on a show for the kid until they were old enough, and then maybe they would slowly start to split. Even if they were unhappy, they stayed together because at that time, it was pretty commonly known and understood, and it still, by the way, is to a degree, that, yeah, it's probably better that a kid has two parents, not just splits apart and then dad comes home one day and says, "Son, now I'm mom number 2. No, wait, mom number 1. The other one is number 2. Yeah, I'm sure that's for the best of the kid. Using the kid as a shield for something so selfish, now that's something.
Chris's response received some positivity such as, "I'm convinced you're an amazing father. Tucker is lucky to have you and also lucky to have all of those who surround and support you in his life, as well as I adore that, I'm glad you made that decision. It's so much easier to be a parental figure when you're not struggling with dysphoria, yet he'd also receive an equal amount of backlash. You ripped apart your family and took a father figure away from your son just so you could paint your nails and act zesty. Pathetic. He will get torn apart at school, won't want to have friends around his house, a life full of difference and being alone."
He's like an OnlyFans mom. Only there's no OnlyFans.
Must have missed the point in that tweet. How's this for him when you're depriving him of a father figure? Although Chris wasn't altered by these comments, as he'd once again reiterate his certainty in a new post reading, "It's never too late to start being yourself," which received praise from MrBeast as well as Nolan and Karl. However, these comments also added extra fuel to the fire. In a few years, look back at this thread and remember they were never your friends. Only yes men cowards.
Damn.
Hope you come out of this safe. MrBeast responded to this with a simple opinion irrelevant ratio.
Opinion irrelevant ratioed? My god, you're MrBeast, you're the most followed guy on the goddamn internet. Yeah, you're probably gonna ratio someone.
To which the original commenter would state, "I have 30 followers, so go ahead and ratio me. I'll still rest easy knowing that I'm not a coward who idly sits by watching my friend ruin his own life."
Holy shit, someone get MrBeast some ice, because man, the man just got third-degree burns, okay? Woo!
In some ways, it was nice to see the boys standing up for Chris on Twitter. However, the situation has already begun to change the dynamic within the videos.
Damn.
For example, in a recent livestream titled "Opening 1,000 Mystery Art Boxes," Chris would once again dress in quite a feminine way, and while everybody participated,
Bro, I already covered this one. This is horrendous. This is something you don't want to see. People are so uncomfortable there.
As usual, the energy and vibe didn't feel nearly as smooth as it normally does. It felt as though there was an unaddressed elephant in the room, and therefore everybody was in their head,
So happy.
as opposed to being in the present moment enjoying each other's company. Maybe everybody was simply too busy opening packages, but Chris did make these bizarre jokes about Jimmy being female, making him incredibly uncomfortable.
"Oh my god, Jimmy, look, they drew you. Jimmy, they drew you so well. It looks just like you."
Oh, yes. That is the fakest thing I have seen in my life. Oh no.
God, it's Jimmy.
How did fan art? This is what we were looking for. Be brave, be honest, be kind. MrBeast. That is my tagline.
Becoming even weirder when each member started to pay each other compliments.
"Hey, nice shirt." "Thanks, dude, nice shirt."
Hey, nice shirt.
"Thanks, dude, nice shirt."
Thanks. Nice shirt.
Nice shoes.
For the most part, the live stream was devoid of awkward moments. However, it would act as fodder for another 100 million views worth of drama and criticism.
These things blew up. Like, oh my god, these things really blew up.
Chris likely believes that people will slowly adapt to his new appearance over time, but is this really going to happen? Well,
No.
maybe. It's difficult to say as the situation is fairly unique, especially when considering Chris's reputation and influence. However, if Chris continues to transition, would it be unreasonable to say that he could jeopardize some of the personality traits which made him a successful member in the first place? Perhaps the opposite will happen, and he'll instead pick up new personality traits that better resonate with the current MrBeast audience. This was put forward in many comments supportive of Chris, who implied that there'll be millions of queer kids who look up to him.
Millions of queer kids that look up to you? There's literally not even a million kids that are queer in the world. What are you talking? This is one of the most common American things. For example, most Americans believe that blacks are 50% of America. That's not even remotely close. And then they believe that 50% of the population is gay, queer, or something like that. That's not even close. These people represent, I'm pretty sure they don't even represent a single percent, actually. So, there's no way millions of queer kids even exist. Oh my god, this is just pretty sad.
Although this doesn't necessarily mean that it'll add any value to the videos. MrBeast has likely cultivated a massive LGBT audience, all of whom are already watching anyway, and if we've learned anything from Hollywood,
massive LGBTQ whatever audience. How? Where?
in recent years, it's that adding over-the-top LGBT characters for the sake of relatability rarely works as intended, and is
It never works. Let's begin with that. There's literally no movie where that has actually worked, okay? And if a movie makes money because it's very, very baity, so you need to watch it, it doesn't mean it's a good movie.
Is often nothing more than a distraction from the premise of the movie or video. On top of this, it can be uncomfortable and unrelatable for the silent majority, although as we have seen, a situation like Chris's does have the potential to create an otherworldly amount of discussion, which could be seen as a benefit for the MrBeast brand.
Drama.
Hell no. When all of the discussion around you has been for the most part positive, then yeah, something like this is gonna hurt you, and it only can hurt you.
It's good for growth, 100%. That would be an easy way to up my
So
views
you're
if
a
I got
Keemstar
it.
That is true, but you can't actually have drama that actually threatens to destroy you. You need to have reasonable, manageable drama. Then it works.
The problem is this type of situation is probably the last thing that MrBeast wants to attract, as he's
True.
forced to agree with Chris's position, as he has no way of manipulating the situation without being painted as the bad guy. It's a lose-lose situation for Mr.
I talked about this previously. Even if 1% of MrBeast audience does not like what this outcome is and they decide to go after him, that's still more than 1.5 million people going after him. And that can potentially end someone. Easily. No problems. MrBeast absolutely could be potentially done if this goes bad.
MrBeast. I think Jimmy is in an inescapable situation. If he kicks out Chris, cancelled. If he don't, his channel will die for real. An
Probably.
inescapable situation is a pretty good way of describing the drama, which is also why it deserves the harsh label of being a nightmare. Jimmy has no option but to publicly express acceptance of Chris's transition, as silence or even worse, disapproval would come with obvious severe repercussions. However, in accepting Chris's transition, Jimmy implies that this will be the new normal within the content, thus annoying a different group of people, many of whom will never express their true feelings and may rather simply click on fewer MrBeast videos. If this is the case, Jimmy has no option but to accept this fate, as removing Chris from the videos in any kind of way could create an even more severe media firestorm.
Everyone in the media on YouTube everywhere is currently already looking at a way to milk this. Like, look at me, I'm already milking this as much as I can. There's no question about it. Everyone wants a piece.
The only clean solution, should things go south, might be for Chris to resign himself, and even then,
He will never resign himself, and if he resigns himself, at some point he's gonna come out and say, MrBeast forced me or gaslit me into resigning. There's no other shot, okay?
rumors and bad press will be unavoidable. Whether it be arrogance or ignorance, Chris seems oblivious to how this whole thing might impact Jimmy, forgetting that he achieved his current level of success by avoiding this exact type of drama.
Okay, so first of all, admittedly, in defense of Chris, he does not need to think about Jimmy. He should be thinking about himself in the first place, and that's pretty much it, you know? Maybe it hurts Jimmy what he does. Who cares? Everyone should be thinking about themselves first and foremost, because other people are not gonna think about you. But anyway, this is insane.